Dear chess friends, welcome to Jozarov chess channel and welcome to the derby of the round 3 of the Tata Steel Masters in 2024. In this round we have the clash between the top GM and the top prodigy from India, Gukesh, against the top GM and the world champion from China, Liren. And this game is really a beautiful and perfect example what to do but also what not to do in the Italian opening. In my opinion, really instructive game, and so far I think in the tournament we have seen great games. So this is a perfect tournament for us to follow, because not so many draws have been played. Sometimes we have seen in the Tata Steel Masters that all of the games are finishing with a draw. In this 3 rounds we had already many games also that were won by black with white. Many draws of course, but in my opinion so far really spectacular and dynamic tournament. So let's see now what happened in the derby of the day with the white pieces. Gukesh opened with the move e4. We have e5 by Ding, knight to f3, knight to c6, and now bishop to c4 leads, of course, into one of the most popular openings into the Italian opening. We have knight to f6, the 2 knight defense, and now after move d3, we're now in some standard lines, and now after bishop to c5, we have reached the Giuoco Pianissimo of the Italian opening. We have now the c3 by Gukesh, in some lines, of course, preparing to break through here with the move d4. We have d6 by Ding, and now a4 by Gukesh. Of course, if you're a beginner, you could fall for the trap. b4, a5 could come, and here black could lose the bishop. So that's why Gukesh blocks out now the potential move by white here by the move a5 himself. But this move a5 creates a certain static position on the queen side, which means that it's very hard for white or for black to push any pawns on the queen side, which means it's very hard to break and enter on the queen side here with b4 from white's perspective, or maybe with the move b5 from black's perspective. So this moves can be made maybe in the later stage of the game, but you have to prepare for maybe 5-6 moves in order to make a tiny little improvement on this side of the board. So the Gukesh will use now this moment, this move a5 by Ding here in order to secure the king by castling. Let's see now how Gukesh did it here. Bishop to g5, first pinning the knight. We have h6 by Ding, bishop to h4, and now Ding plays a theoretical novelty, bishop to a7, a move that I'm not seeing in the database, that has not been played so far. The engine suggests here immediately g5, but here Liren will play a different move, or will then play g5 afterwards. So here after move bishop to h4, as I said, we have now reached a new position. After bishop to a7, knight to a3, good move by Gukesh, which prepares of course to jump with the knight on b5, and in some lines if necessary to control the d4 idea that we have talked about in the beginning with the move knight to c2. So the knight is becoming now really flexible piece on this side of the board. And again, I'm pointing out, even this move knight to a3 makes of course this potential ideas like b5 impossible, really almost impossible here for black. You can make it, maybe you can prepare it, but in my opinion it doesn't make sense, because you need simply too many moves in order to maybe do something on this side of the board. Queen to e7, we have now knight to b5 hitting the bishop, bishop b6. Ding wants of course to keep the bishop here on the board. Queen to b3 hitting the pawn on f7, g5, bishop to g3, and this the engine gives here equal chances for both sides, of course, maybe always with this a beginning advantage for white, but I would say this is pretty equal. Nothing gained so far for white, nothing gained also here for black. All of the pieces are still on the board, so it's so far a positional battle, really a positional struggle for both sides. King side castling, and now we have this idea queen side castling. Beautiful move, I think, here by Gukesh. Leads of course into this opposite side attack game, where now basically you're trying to open a position here in front of your opponent's king from white's perspective, and from black's perspective also maybe to open the position on this side of the board. But as I said, it's very hard for black to make anything here. So the only flexibility that I see in the game is to somehow launch here the breakthrough motif with the move e5, with the move d4, and putting more pressure against e5. That's, I think, the only, I would say, mobile possibility here for white at least. So after move queenside castling, knight to h5 by Ding. He wants, of course, to grab the bishop on g3, or maybe fix here the knight on a beautiful square on f4, and forcing maybe a reaction by white with bishop takes f4 and similar idea. So now Gukesh breaks and enters. Gukesh is, of course, course, a fearless young player. He plays, of course, the most dynamic move, but you have to now be really, really accurate when you push the pawns in the center. Now you have to be really a tactical beast. Suddenly, the game transposes from a positional game, I would say, into a more and more beautiful tactical game. After move d4, Ding releases the pressure in the center, says, show me what you got, and now Gukesh already doesn't react correctly. Here, Gukesh plays knight from b to d4, and this move is not good because this knight is supposed to be here, because in some lines there are some tactics like knight takes d6, c takes d6, and then to pick up the bishop here on b6. That's the idea. For instance, if you play here something like, I don't know, here, let's see this other option. If you play here knight from f to d4, then potential, I don't know, knight queen to e4 by black would not be possible because of this tactic. As I said, knight takes d6, and then after c takes d6, bishop, queen takes the bishop on b6. You can maybe pick up this pawn, but I think here white should be slightly better because of this activity. You have many problems here. We have here already many light square problems. You have to move the rook, so in my opinion this is not working. Rook to e8, queen to c7 is coming. I would not love to play, as I said, anymore this game from black's perspective. After knight from f to d4 that Gukesh should have played, of course you can also play knight to d4. Now after something like knight to d4, now of course again this idea queen to e4 is not working because of bishop to d6, and I think here white should be perfectly fine. But what Gukesh did here, he played now knight from b to d4, which makes this tactic almost impossible here with bishop takes d6 and then queen takes b6, because here Ding simply kicked away the knight. The knight drops back to h4, and now Ding took the bishop that was the main threat, I think, for white here. The main tactical idea somehow to play the move bishop to d6 and grab the bishop on b6, but now it's not working. Here after move c takes d4, now Ding Liren took the pawn on e4, and now it's a completely different story. Okay, Gukesh has the opportunity to do something with the bishop here, but here actually black should be even slightly better because of the lost pawn by white. So in my opinion, from this point on, Ding is taking over. So we have rook from h to e1 here by Gukesh, kicking away the queen, and now a good move here by Ding, queen to h7. He retreats. He notices, of course, that he has here many holes in the position. He has many structural weaknesses also in front of the king, many weak squares. So that's why queen to h7, first retreating, hoping to reach the endgame stage, because if that happens, of course, black is up a pawn. So good move here, as I said, by Ding. But now again, Gukesh doesn't react correctly. Rook to d2, unnecessary move here. Gukesh should have, I think, go into a more dynamic line with bishop to d3, which would force basically the queen to drop back to g7, and now knight to g6. That would be an idea here, at least to make something, at least to make a progressive plan, because actually black has a tough time where to go with the rook, because the rook is not connected with this rook on a8, so you cannot use the e8 square. You have to play something like rook to d8, then bishop to h4, leads into a complicated game. Some bishop to d7 takes, and here white should be much better. After knight to g6, what actually black should do, this is of course a hypothetical line that of course was not played in the game, but let's see here in this position, black should actually take knight takes g3, allow here knight takes f8, king takes f8, and after f takes g3, knight to d4. Here the position should be actually equal, maybe even again slightly better for black, because I don't like here the king's position. This bishop is coming into the game. There is a 4 versus 2 pawn majority here. So as I said, this was the only way, I think, for Gukesh to make something out of this. But here after move queen to h7, he didn't play the move bishop to d3. He played rook to d2, which gives now Gukesh, Ding Liren here the opportunity to connect the rooks. Now if you play here something like bishop to d3 and queen to g7, of course, by Ding, now this tactic with knight to g6 is not working because of rook to e8, and now the rooks are connected. There is no threat here of rook takes e8. So you see here Gukesh lost an important tempo with rook to d2. Now he has a tough time, and now he has to play bishop to f5, getting use of the f5 square. Bishop takes, knight takes f5, and now queen to g5 here by Ding, of course, attacking the knight, but also protecting the pawn on h6. We have queen to b5 by Gukesh. Rook to e8, of course, here Ding is competing here on the e file, and again Gukesh doesn't react correctly. Here, rook to e3 leads into a complicated position for white, because actually black is simplifying the game, because after rook to e3, instead of this rook to e3 move, what Gukesh should have played is rook takes e8, and after something like rook takes e8, here you can play knight to h6, maybe attacking the queen, also going for the b7, or I think knight to e3 here is perfectly fine to keep the files locked. Here you are, of course, having some problems still in the position, but in my opinion this should be perfectly fine, maybe to go for trades of queens and then somehow squeeze this endgame into a draw. But after rook to e3, Ding is saying, okay, I would trade off now the knight even on the board, because the knight was, I think, a very, very powerful piece here for Gukesh, and now the knight doesn't have any good squares to escape anymore, so you have to trade off knights. After knight to g7, king to g7, Ding is simply continuing now the game with upper pawn. We have d5 by Gukesh, rook takes e3, f takes e3, which creates, of course, a new weakness in white's position. Now there is a completely messed up position on also this diagonal. We have a knight to b5, knight to b4 here by Ding, and from this point on, I think white is not so good. Black actually is here already much better. This square is taken, this square is taken, many light square problems here in front of white's king. So in my opinion, this is not a good position anymore for Gukesh. Queen to b7, rook to e8, of course, going for this pawn, bishop to f4, but this move just improves the position of the queen. There are no several problems here to handle for Gukesh. Knight to a2 is, of course, the obvious move. We have queen to b5, attacking the rook. Now Ding plays the correct move, knight to a2, king to d1, queen to b1. Here, really, black is much better. Gukesh has to step back, and now Ding plays, in my opinion, the most beautiful move of this particular game. Maybe you can pause the video and try to see now. I would not say the completely winning idea here, but I think it's an idea that keeps simply black on the attacking side. So what would you do now in this particular position? Okay, obviously the rook is saying, but Ding found this beautiful tactic, queen to g1. You don't have time to pick up the rook on e8, because actually with the knight to c1 you get checkmated. Beautiful calculations here by Ding. After move queen to g1, that's why king to d3 by Gukesh. But even if you play rook to d4 to somehow, I don't know, keep the rook in front of the king, then still I think you have problems what to handle here. This pawn will be taken. So again, a messed up game here for white. So after move king to d3, here Gukesh, of course, retreated with the knight, delivered a check, king to d4 by Gukesh. But again, even if you play king to e2 again, then rook to e4, getting out of this attack, you can maybe try b3, and again, this pawn on g2 is falling. So again, a messed up game here for white. So after move knight to b4, Gukesh played king to d4, queen to e1, beautiful move, which again is not allowing here the move queen takes e8, because again it leads into a checkmate with queen to d3. So after move queen to e1, here Gukesh tried queen to rook to d3, but again a beautiful move here by Ding, queen to e2, again with the same problem. You don't have time to pick up the rook on e8 because the rook on d3 is hanging, and then again it's a checkmate. So that's why after rook to d3 and queen to e2, here rook to c3 was played, queen to d2, first a check, the king had to drop back, and now after move rook to e4, in this position Gukesh resigned. It's of course not defendable anymore. It's even a forced checkmate sequence at 7, but obviously this is too much pressure here against white's king. So great game by Ding, I think. Gukesh made these inaccuracies really unnecessary, especially at the beginning when you start already to give black some chances. You see Ding took them, and Gukesh never found the most, I would say, aggressive tactics which he usually does, which I think this game surprised me a little bit. I thought that he would see at least this maybe idea with bishop to d3 in the later stage of the game. Let's see really this, I would say, critical moment. Let's go back here to this idea. I would say this would lead into a drawish position. Instead of this move rook to d2, as I said, bishop to d3 first, kicking away the queen, and now knight to g6 would be very, very complicated to play for both sides. This was maybe a more dynamic idea here for white, but he didn't play that. He missed that with rook to d2. I think Ding showed white also he's the world champion, why he beat also Jan Nepomniachtchi in the world championship match. So as I said, congratulations to Ding, great game. He has now 2 points out of his first 3 games, 2 draws and 1 win, which is a decent result. But you see, Ding played here without inaccuracies, mistakes or blunders, almost a perfect game. He played with the black pieces against such a strong opponent like Gukesh and has now very, very important win here. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. Really enjoyed it a lot. Interesting ideas of the Italian opening. Really, really spectacular game it was. We will cover, of course, more and more games. So far, it's round 3. So far, Nodirbek Abdusatorov and Alireza Firuja are in the lead, who are the only players that have 2.5 points out of the first 3 rounds. So far, a great performance by the 2 of them. So it will be still a tough tournament for everyone. So, okay, if you want to see more here chess content on my YouTube chess channel, check out our commented chess games, but also our commented chess games played by computers with some amazing Stockfish games and other top engine games. And if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.